Well, guys, we are finally here. We made it to the 1 month anniversary. It's been exactly 1 month since I created this channel and put out my first video. And what a month it has been. I wanted to do something a little bit different, go outside of the norm, and make this about you and me for a little bit. Just you and I. We're going to have a conversation. I had put up a video the other day taking your questions. We're going to do some type of AMA here. Over the last month, you guys got to see how I perform and see who I am as a person and just get a feel for what this channel is about. And I wanted to take this moment to kind of make it about you and get to know you guys through your questions. So with that, let's get into it. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much for all the views, interactions, subscribers, and just like being part of this experiment that I've been sitting on for so long. And I've talked about it in the first video and then the first podcast, episode 0, project 0, whatever we're calling that. But this has been a long time in the making. And I think over the last 30 days, I've had time to reflect about what I was feeling. And I think the reason why I waited so long, I dragged my feet, was because maybe there was a little piece in the back of my head that made me feel like maybe, just maybe, no one would care. Going into this, I thought if I got at least 100 views and 10 likes, that the video would be a substantial success. And you guys have blown those numbers completely out of the water. So thank you. I don't know what that thank you means to you or for what it's worth, but genuinely, thank you. I try my best to respond to every comment, and I think I've done that so far because this channel is so small and I'm so new that I feel like I'm able to have a genuine interaction, quality over quantity right now, and I want to take advantage of that. So the more you guys are engaged, the more I'm going to engage with you. And no better way to do all that than to do a dedicated video answering your questions, maybe in a better, further detail that doesn't have to do with the video's topic for that particular day. So let's answer some questions. The first one is from Mike, my buddy Mike. What a great question. He goes, why do you have loading mouse animations printed on your couch pillows? He's referring to this and these. Ha ha ha. Well, Mike, because they are loading, waiting for you to come back for another visit. The ball's in your court now. Tech Tips with Carson says, congratulations, Randy, on 1 month. Your videos always make me smile. Keep up the good work. Thank you. That comment made me smile when I saw it the other day. I was like, that's awesome. But thank you. Well, Carson actually proceeds to ask a question as well. And he says, with the soon to release Logic Pro iPad update, could you do a full track on just the iPad? Do you think it will ever replace the Mac version or become a mirrored app from Mac in terms of functionality? Also, a challenge. Film, edit, and publish an episode entirely on iPhone? And what are your thoughts on someone like you starting something new, like YouTube or podcast, with just the phone in their pocket? Great questions. I love these questions, actually. A lot of you from my analytics that show me this now don't know really who I am, don't have the backstory as opposed to just from this channel. So you're not very familiar with my main personal channel that's just my name, and or being on the Talos of Tech EV podcasts. And you would know that I am a huge advocate of all things shot on iPhone and maximizing the tools that you have at your disposal, not necessarily having these fancy lights behind me or this spotlight here or a dedicated mirrorless camera there. You can, and I have done before, everything on your phone. This isn't even a Pro, and I've done videos on this. Music videos that came out just a month or two or so ago. So I'm a big advocate of everything shot on iPhone. So with the challenge portion, I can and sometimes will shoot, edit, and publish an episode all done on the iPhone. But I will make it a point to emphasize that challenge just to showcase how far you can push the boundaries with something this small and even not that pro, right? It's a base iPhone and it's more than enough. So I encourage it. I encourage anybody to do it, and I want them to do it. I want anybody to do this. Like, if you have the passion to want to create and you have a smartphone, which we all do it. Just Shia LaBeouf that. Just do it. I would scream louder, but my baby is asleep right now. In regards to the Logic question, about 2018, I think. So 6 years ago, that sounds about right. I had made a song done on the iPad. It was like GarageBand. It wasn't great, but it was something, and I did it. And I've never thought about going back to it. And now, especially since having an iPad Pro, I should do that. So if I did a full track, you know what? I like the challenge. I like where your thinking is at. Challenge accepted. I will make a song, a full track in Logic on the iPad. Just so you guys know where I stand with it when I compare it to Mac, because do I think it will replace Mac? If it's going to keep lacking certain functionalities, both that and Final Cut, then no, it can't replace the Mac. You can't do 100% of everything that is done on the Mac with the iPad right now. So thus, iPadOS is a limited and not as efficient OS for those pro applications. But it is my hope that it can at least mirror, and maybe I would like to see it supersede it, but as long as I can connect my piano, my guitar, my mic, and like do music, then there shouldn't innately be a problem working anything off of Logic on the iPad. The Spanish in me says that the next comment is pronounced J para si, but maybe it's just J para si. Forgive me. Either way, 2 questions. What is your content creating approach to differentiate yourself from Drew, Talos of Tech, my friend, to not seem like a copy? Drew is my friend, very good friend, very close friend. And with that, maybe we share similarities through ideas, but our execution fundamentally is different. I don't think I'm copying him, or it doesn't seem like I'm copying him. I hope not, but there might be some similarities because you guys might not know this, but I wrote his like background music and stuff. I have like a background loop for him, and I did his Talos of T signature sound, as I called it, years ago. So my DNA just on the audio side of things is present in all his videos. I did that more because, he's a friend, and I wanted to I wanted to up his, value for branding purposes. And then likewise, I wrote all the music for our podcasts. So in that sense, the DNA, like, you can't separate the signature sounds of certain things. But our approach to it is pretty different. I wouldn't say fundamentally different, but it is different. For example, pacing. I don't always do jump cuts or have B-roll or still footage or something. And I don't strive to make it the shortest video ever. And I don't know if you guys know that about Talos of Tech, but that's really what he wants to do, is he wants to expedite the turnout of, from video idea. I don't mean to speak for him, so apologies, but he wants to, from idea to filming to editing to publishing, he wants that as quick as possible. So his goal is to make all this information for whatever he's covering in that video as concise as possible, while also doing a skit and having fun with it. But he wants to get that out for you guys as soon as possible. Whereas for me, I go into a single topic, going at it from like multiple source approaches, and I kind of sometimes, as we've seen now, I take my time with the videos, but I can also crank them out daily as well. And that's the point of my setup, is that I run everything through OBS right here off frame, so I can see my time on the clock. And I do. Here's another fundamental thing. I'm filming this on a Sony as my primary. He films his on a 15 Pro. Like, that's his primary thing. The content might be about Apple or things, but like, I also tend to want to stray away from Apple from time to time. I will talk about more financial things that have to do with the business side. I did a video talking about the Tesla and their senior executives, or like non-competes. That's more financial and business savvy stuff, and I want to pursue that more. And I like talking about art, aesthetics, and things like that, such as like MagSafe. And I like to do like deep dives into things like the AI pen, or I have one video that's like pretty popular, and I was talking about Marquez and just tech reviewers. So in that sense, my content strategy is that of what my very first video is about. As of right now, I cover all things tech, all things business, and all things art. because all those things are connected to me and what I like about it, and they all kind of interchange within each topic itself. Like iPhones is art, and there's a business model behind this and why it is the way it is. I don't see myself covering like leaks or speculations or anything like that, and if I do, they will be on those Talos of podcasts. That was a very long answer, but I took the time to like process that one, so I hope that answers your question. The second question he asks, as a big fan of rock, and I know you are too, based on previous conversations, and given how much you're into music in general, where do you listen to it? Apple Music, Spotify, etc. And would you be willing to share your playlist publicly with us to find new music through you, as well as see the inspiration behind all your past and future work? I love this idea. I've never even thought about that. I don't have a playlist. I've never thought about making a playlist, but I am inspired by the music around me, and it helps me form my own ideas. If people are interested in that, I'll consider it. As for what I do use Apple Music right now as my primary, but Spotify is technically free, and I do like the algorithm on Spotify, and technically even YouTube Music because of having YouTube Premium. So a little bit of everything, but that, because I'm a musician first, right? So because I love music and because I am a musician, I take a very big interest in like all these streaming platforms and what their strengths and weaknesses are and how I can more or less take advantage of that stuff. But yes, I do love rock. I grew up on rock. I am a product of rock. So I was born in the 90s. So I grew up on 90s and 80s. Like 80s is probably my favorite era of music. So that's where I get my inspiration from, like synthesizers and electronic music. But I love even the techno era of things from the 2000s. But from the 70s to even today, all that. I love all things rock. So I'm a rock guy first. And then I like to incorporate the electronics and synthesizers and all that stuff and ambient stuff because I love soundtracks too. Like that's a guilty pleasure of mine. I just love listening to soundtracks. They help me stay focused. They inspire me. And like my first exposure to good music might have been on Halo. When I played the very first Halo, I was like, whoa, this music's amazing. And it fundamentally shaped how I listen to music and how I approach it on my own. So yeah, maybe I'll do a playlist and show. I'll probably make a playlist of like what makes Randy. Yeah? Cool. Divin, sorry if I'm getting that wrong. He asks, what are your views on people upgrading devices? What should be the minimum time that people are to keep mid-range versus flagships? I'm using a OnePlus device, a OnePlus 7. Whoa. For about 4.5 years. And as we all know, we should hold on to our devices for long. I have installed custom ROM for Android 14 and replaced battery. No complaints, totally worth spending the $450 in 2019 for 5 years. So what are my thoughts on upgrading your devices? I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to say do as I say, not as I do, but I want to be honest and fair and just give my overall thoughts. Not necessarily the question, but I have found in recent years, since I think 2020, maybe even 2019, definitely 2020 for sure, that the desire to get a pro model or a flagship, as posed, a flagship phone has become less and less desirable because the mid-range phones are very good. Not just with iPhones, but like the Pixels, the Pixel 6a, 7a, like those things were the best Android phones out there and the cheapest in the Pixel lineup. Where I'm getting at. Samsung's best phone is not the Galaxy S20 whatever year it is, but their free phone that you can get like with a carrier. I know so many people who don't use the flagship like S Galaxy or Note. Like they don't use those. They get the one that's given to them. And I like that approach because it saves you money. Phones aren't getting cheaper, but they're getting better. And if they are promising these years of support, if you're on Android, if they're promising all these years of support now, then heck yeah, like hold on to it for as long as you can. Save your money. Save your money, because this is an anecdotal example, but I had a moment where it's like, do I want to upgrade my iPad? But the iPad costs, the one that how I would spec it out would be over $1,000, over $1,200, $1,300. And like, that's That's real money when you see the numbers and you're about to pay it. I don't do things on like debt. I pay cash. But when you're about to spend that money, you think really hard before you're about to drop some mad coin like that, especially when you have other like financial obligations. Like me, I have a house, I have a family to support. I can't just be dropping $1,500 on an iPad. But for a moment, I did thought about it. But then if I did, it's like, well, I definitely can't upgrade to the next iPhone. But I can say that I will try my best to hold on to a phone as long as possible if it meets my needs. And each year, it gets closer and closer to where I get to that point where like I really don't need to upgrade anymore. And for the first time as an iPhone user, we have USB-C, right? That's very important to me. I do not feel incentivized or needed to upgrade. I don't care about promotion. I notice the difference. I see it. I don't care. I want a good camera, which I do. I have one. I film off of it all the time. I have a great port, fast charging, and I have a great like ecosystem that kind of goes with it. Genuinely, like, what more do you need? And I don't need much more if I'm trying to go on YouTube or Instagram or Twitter. Like, none of that really matters when it comes to like specking out. So yeah, I'm all for holding on to it. And congratulations for holding on to your OnePlus 7 for that long. Technophile says, and I have to say really quickly, like this one touched my heart. I felt this one. He says, "Hey Randy, I've been a longtime follower of yours. I've seen almost all your attempts at creating a channel or series, the Hump Day Show, the Randy and Nick Show, the Tesla Experience channel, etc. True, all that true, facts, all primitive versions of what was leading to this. I've always wanted you to pursue something long-term and stick to it. And I'm happy that you're doing something that looks like it's going to be what I always wanted. I'm taking this opportunity to ask you a few questions I have. 1. What motivated you to create this channel? 2. Will the Tesla Experience, the Nick and Randy Show, the Randy Vasquez Behind the Scenes channels be deleted, or do you have any other plans for them? You have been around a long time to see all those channels. 3, do you have any plans of doing regular live streams? 4, any plans of enabling memberships for the channel? First of all, Technophile, I want to talk to you directly right now. I remember seeing your name in some way, shape, or form all these years. I remember you. I see your name, and that's a name that has stuck with me. I'm like, I know that name. So thank you from the bottomest of my heart. Thank you for just hanging with me all these years. I don't expect anybody to hang any amount of time. You guys don't owe me anything, and you, Technophile, don't owe me anything. But you have given me years of your time, and you've followed me throughout these journeys of me exploring how I wanted to conceptualize this bigger feeling that I've always had. So you're right. Like all these channels, like, these were my attempts, and this was me testing the waters to see what would work and what wouldn't work. And every channel that you listed off, there was something I've pulled from those channels that I liked, and I've incorporated into this. For anybody who doesn't know, when I did I used to do a show on my main channel called The Hump Day Show, and the original version of that show actually existed in 2013 timeframe. And that was my attempt of doing like a series, and I was just covering broad news. I remember at one point I was covering things like the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 rumors, and just things in general, things that were interesting to me, shows, all these things. It was my creative expression of just covering things that excited me. When I had the Tesla experiences, because I was documenting my experience of owning a Tesla, something that I was also very excited about. And I wanted to show the nuances of it. And at the time, no one had done what I had did. Like I went over numbers. I showed you guys up front how much I was paying cash. And then I took out a loan, but then I paid off the loan very quickly. I did all these things and I documented it because it was an approach of me doing something where I wish I would have seen this before I bought my Model 3. And I bought that back in 2019. Times are different now. Things have changed. But I can proudly say I was one of the first. And I was also one of the first to see the Cybertruck in person. And that video just went freaking wild. It did numbers like crazy. But that was from a point of excitement. And I wanted to document the experience. The Randy and Nick Show was supposed to be that of a conversational piece, much like my podcast that I do on this channel now for Tech is Art. It was meant to be raw, unedited, nothing fancy, but just a genuine, if it could be as close to a live stream and like vlogging something, that's what that was with me and one of my very, very good friends, Nick. So yeah, if you're seeing the themes here, it all came from a a point of excitement and curiosity. And I wanted to document those experiences. And every project that I did, and even the podcasts I didn't even talk about, like going to indie or the millennial mindset. I had the core mindset because I was in the Marine Corps. Anyway, all those things, every trial that I did on something, every attempt, every challenge that I did, succeeded or failed, that is subjective, was leading up to what would then become this, which is why it's so fine-tuned and people are impressed with my production quality. You're seeing a brand new channel that's been around for 30 days, but I've been working at this for years, and I have at least the record and the fans, some of them, to showcase that it goes back at least 6 years. I've been doing this for a very long time. This is just the most mature and refined process of all those failed attempts formed to this, which is why I do it so confidently now. I'm in my element. I love every second of what I'm doing. And people like Technophile, thank you. On to your questions. What motivates you to create this channel? All that I explained. I wanted to consolidate all these separate entities and all these different ideas to a central location. And for the longest time, I wanted those ideas to exist on my one main channel. But that's a music channel. That's my personal channel. It's my oldest. That channel has been around since 2006. I'm a very old guy. But that is my creative outlet, that channel, where this is my excitement and me documenting the experience of all that. So instead of having all these different channels, I found the common thread of what excited me about all those other attempts, and I repackaged to this, the TRN. I'm so motivated that I feel like it's impossible to get burned out because it's a piece of me. And I say offline that I could talk about this stuff forever, so I'm kind of challenging that I can literally do this forever. Will those channels come back that he's asking me? Will I delete them, or do I have plans for them? Some of them will come back. I do have plans for at least one for sure, and the other ones I don't know. I kind of like the idea of having a record there just because everything on the internet lives forever. And I am proud for what they were for those time periods. But one of them in particular, I am interested in revisiting and doing something more with it eventually. But I don't plan on doing anything until this becomes self-sufficient, sustained, and kind of like when this channel becomes bigger by numbers and performance and just like overall like attitude, maybe when this becomes bigger than my main channel, the one that's my passion project, that's my baby, when this becomes bigger than that, that's when I know it's time for me to then water my other plants in my metaphorical garden here. Do you have any plans to do regular live streams? I do, but as of right now, I can't maximize that because I don't have the subscriber count or the viewership. Like I need certain hours logged first before I can like fully go in on that. Because then on the other part of your question there is, do I plan on enabling memberships for the channel? Yes, I do. I plan on doing that. A Patreon. I have all these other plans, but I need to log more hours first. I need to get more watch time, and I need more subscribers to get those features unlocked. But when I do, I will do them. And like everything else that I've done so far, there will be quality behind it. There will be intent and purpose. And I will have very specific perks and just package deals and things that will go into those memberships. And the live streams, I will do those once I'm in a better flow and routine of things. Right now, first 30 days, we're still figuring things out. The next 30 days, I hope we start working on refinements. I would love to do live streams. Yes, I would. Alpha the Wolf says, I know Alpha. I've seen that name around. That's another name I am familiar with now. He goes, how would you best describe your relationship with tech today? Would you consider it a healthy relationship, or is there room for improvement? I ask you this as a tech enthusiast looking to minimize my time just playing with tech so I can expand my horizon. I've been trying to put my phone down more and go explore the world myself and stepping out of my comfort zone. I still love tech, but I'm tired of letting tech rule over me. Boy, oof. Aren't we all to some degree? There's always room for improvement. My relationship with tech is getting better, but I'm not where I want to be. I would not consider it healthy still. I'm scared to look at my watch time, like how my screen time on my phone. I know YouTube is going to be like up there at the highest, but I wish I was more disciplined. But I have been getting better ever since I moved to a place that can enable me to be outside and explore. I'm surrounded by beauty in all this nature. So I love being outside. I love spending time with my son. I love being with my family. And that inspires me and motivates me to not be in my phone. But when I have those downtimes, man, it's like a rabbit hole. You just you get lost into it. And we're all kind of guilty of it. And I don't want to be a hypocrite or contradict nothing, but it's like I look at the numbers of just this channel and I'm like, that's a lot of views. But I also have I suffer with a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, why is anybody ever watching me? And that's something I'm working on. But I hope I can get better, and I encourage you to find the thing that excites you to be off your phone and just double down on that, lean into that, do that. For me, hiking, trails, being outside. When I'm moving and I'm exploring the world, I'm at my happiest. Pala HZ. Pala, I don't know. It's a music page though, music account. Hey, congrats, dudes. Question: how do you keep working even when you feel demotivated because you don't see the results you've experienced? Deep questions. Sorry, I love deep questions. This is great. This is a great one because we can all relate to it. We all know this feeling. You got to get up and go to work when you don't want to go to that job. You got to get up and force yourself to pursue that side hustle that you want to work on, even though you're not getting the sales or the numbers or the whatever you're looking for. The thing that you imagine in your mind isn't living up to the reality. Your expectation doesn't meet reality. How do you keep working through that? You have to be honest with yourself. That's the answer. You have to be honest with yourself. And what I mean by that is if it excites you enough to do it, you're going to do it regardless. I was doing the Talos of Tech and EV podcast for years, just having fun. And then one day we got monetized, and now we get a little, we get paid for it and things it's weird. It blows my mind because I'm just talking with friends. We were always going to do that with or without money involved. Music, man. I've been writing music forever, literally ever. So, as long as I've been alive, I've been writing music. So I'm motivated just by my own excitement of new chord progressions, stories I want to tell, sounds I want to make or capture. The concept of music as a whole is just that's a whole nother universe because it's all intangible stuff. And I love being in that space. I obsess with it, really. If it's something you're obsessed with, you're going to do it regardless. So you find what makes you want to do the thing in the first place that motivated you to do it and hold on to that. Don't lose that. I have a very clear mission statement for this channel. I have a very clear vision of what I want this channel to be about. So I don't mind if the numbers are lower or I'm not growing as quick. I don't want, you think you want to grow quickly or be viral, but you don't, because that guarantee 100% burnout. You will get burnout. Well, how do we describe growth? Because I've been doing this, as I was saying earlier, for years. So to me, this is just another day. But to a lot of people finding my content, this is a channel that's been around for only 30 days and I don't even have 300 subscribers yet. And people are like, why are the views so low? Why is the subscriber count so low? This does not make sense. To me, it's just another day. Don't be motivated by numbers. Numbers will be the death of you. And I fall victim to looking at analytics all the time. And I don't want to look at them. But they kind of put it in your face, at least in the YouTube studio. But don't worry about the numbers. Worry about why you want to do it. If you can answer why you're doing something, everything else will fall into place because now you have your purpose. Now you have your goal of to what this thing is about. Scott Triglaff, man, so many lowercase numbers is messing with me. Music, Scott. He asks, when did you start playing an instrument, writing music? Been in any bands? I started playing the piano when I was I'm told when I was 2, 3, when I could reach the piano that my grandmother had. She had this grand piano, and as soon as I was on that and hitting the keys, apparently I never stopped. And I believe it. I've seen the home videos. Yeah. So I started for longer than I can remember. I've been doing music. It is literally a part of me. I've been writing music effectively, I would say, original music. I was writing original music for maybe 15 years, but then I started taking it a little bit more seriously a decade ago. That's where my music now is coming from. It all started within the last 10 years, but I think I, like, off the record, I started writing maybe 15 years ago. That sounds about right. 2009. Yeah, that sounds right. Been in any bands? Yes. In fact, one of them still has a digital footprint called Time After Ashes. I don't actually participate with it anymore, but that was something that I did with, best friend back home, and it was a 3-piece band that kind of was turned into a 2-piece band, but then at one point it was just me, and then it went back to a 2-piece band, and then we kind of just like evolved from it. It was very like a fluid thing, but it was my first approach in modern digital era. That was my first digital band where I'm putting things on streaming services. But I was in 2 other bands before that, before there was an Apple Music, Spotify, and stuff like that. But I don't know if there's any record of that stuff now. I was always doing something musically. But I would call Time After Ashes my first real project, band, whatever you want to call it. I've done music, like I've played live, and I've done concerts and shows and stuff like that under Time After Ashes, and those are on streaming as well. But as of right now, I just release music under my name, and I plan on doing something new in the future, something that is bigger than Randy Vasquez, the artist. More about that later. Oh, Riley. I know Riley from our podcasts. What's your go-to camera settings now? Do you still think 4K is too big? What is the best frame rate? Ooh, love that one. Love this question. I love the techie question. My go-to settings now is I'm using a Sony a6400 as my primary and an iPhone 15 as a backup, just not today. And this is my setup. I run everything through OBS, and I have a dedicated mic, and sometimes I'm using over-ear headphones, and that is more or less my setup so I can monitor the sound while I'm looking at the playback, and that's pretty much it. Pretty simple stuff. Do I still think 4K is too big? No, I don't. I don't watch things in 4K, but I like right now, this very video is being filmed in 4K, but it will be downscaled to 1080p at the end of the day. But there's something about when I watch the playback, there is more quality in my 1080ps when I film in 4K. So I don't think it's too big. With that, Riley, I will say that my last music video I put out on my personal account, YouTube channel, that was filmed in 4K on an iPhone. I filmed that in 4K, and the quality looks great. And it was a very silhouette-y music video too, but you could see the details because I filmed it in 4K. And it wasn't even on that camera, it was on this. So yes, my perspective on 4K has changed, but my final output when it comes to this channel might stay as 1080p for a while, mainly because I like how it's a smaller file, I can upload it quicker and stuff like that. But if I have my time, if I could take my time with the content, yeah, I'll do 4K. I like 4K. I love 4K. Anything above 4K, too big. What's the best frame rate? Ooh, I have an answer for each frame rate. But I will say for this channel, for this medium, it's 30 frames. It's the default for the phone. It's what my Sony is okay with, and OBS. Like, everything's a little bit universal, just doing 30 frames. I like 30 frames. And for being realistic about it, 30 frames was made for like the digital space and YouTube and things like that. Like, things are just more tailored towards 30 frames. 60 frames doesn't always work. I like 60 frames if I can slow it down a little bit, but 60 frames as just a resting frame rate doesn't seem to work for shorts or for Twitter or for Instagram. Sometimes it does, but there's something like not all 60 frames for social platforms are equal, I'm noticing. So 30 frames seems to be the new 24 frames. But I like 24 frames if you want to get that more smooth cinematic look. I get it. Some people don't, but I do. But at the end of the day, just like the resolution thing, I can film something in 4K at 60 and it will export as 1080 at 30. So the best frame rate is the one that's the default when you open your phone, because most people are filming with their phones, not doing the YouTube thing, just like sharing stuff on Snapchat or whatever. Like 30 frames is the resting default for everything. So things are optimized for it. I'm okay with it. 30 frames is the best frame rate. And last but not least, the old Tailosive himself. Drew asks me, how do you put a dollar amount on your creativity for services? That's a deep one. I kind of like that one. No one's ever asked me that. I guess it helps when the starting rate, at least publicly, is $1,000. I think when you start with that, you have a good gauge of where you can work from there. If you know, you know. Honestly, how do you quantify creativity, especially when it comes to finances? That's an amazing question. For me, I'll talk about more personal experiences in the realm of my expertise, which would be audio and music. I generally these days, I have a good idea of what my workflow will look like when it comes to music and how long that will take. And if I know I have to sacrifice time, valuable time, because everything's surrounded by time. We all get the same 24 hours a day. So there is a trade-off at some point or another. If I have to trade something I want to do for something I'm being paid to do, it's going to be worth my time. What is my hour worth to me? So when I'm making a song or a theme song, or I'm working with a collaborator of something, typically I would say I have a good idea how long that will take me, and I either charge by the project or I charge by the hour. And it's never like a single hour. Most times I will commit 2 to 3 hours. So it's easier for me to be like blocking out 3 hours of my time. But it's not just that. Like, that's just me doing the process of writing the song or the sound or whatever I'm doing. If I block out those, say 3 hours, I will include my engineering process in there, my audio engineering. Sorry, Mike. I'm mixing, I'm mastering, I'm fine-tuning, I'm cleaning up. There's a lot of things that the end user, the end product, there's a lot of things people will never see or hear or notice that went into it. That doesn't mean I didn't put time into it. So I look at what that time is worth for me. You know, it's an investment into the person. It's an investment to you. What are you worth? How do you value yourself? And it's really hard. It's hard to put a number on yourself. For me, I know what I'm worth. I know what I can do. And I know my limitations too. You have to know your limitations. I know if I can deliver, and I'm not just blowing smoke up someone's butt about it, like I can actually deliver the thing that they're looking for. I'll be fair, but fairness is a two-way street. Like, you got to work with me too. Again, when someone's offering you $1,000, it's a pretty good starting point. It's like, okay, well, I guess that's my new resting medium, isn't it? Yeah, it's hard. I guess every project varies. And really, I ask myself now as a father, how much is it going to cost me to take time away from me spending time with my son if he's like awake? Or like right now, I'm filming this at night, so now I'm sacrificing sleep. But I want to do this, so it's a little bit different. Every project is different. It really depends. I'm sorry if that's not the answer we were looking for. Okay, that's it. This is the longest non-podcast video I've ever made, but my God. This was worth sitting down and just talking to you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for the first 30 days, showing me that there's an interest in this and kind of like encouraging me to if not keep at it, to like try different things. Like the comments just for the last 30 days. I've never seen this type of engagement before, directly just under my jurisdiction, under my umbrella. It's overwhelming in a good way. If you make the time to talk to me, I'm going to make the time to respond back to you. And sometimes, maybe not every month, but sometimes maybe I'll even do a dedicated video. So thank you guys. We're just getting started. 1 month down, forever months until I die to go. Hopefully. We'll see. The point of this channel is to be open-minded and fluid about the growth of how to approach everything. So one thing I know for sure, this ain't it. We're not done. There ain't no 1 year and I'm retiring business. No, I got things to share. I got things to talk about, and we got things to connect about. All right, not my usual video, so I don't have a usual sign off, which normally I just cut the video. I think I'll do that. Thanks for your time. I will see you guys in the next one, and thanks for giving me a chance. Take care.